All right, this is the podcast about nothing, the messy show in the boxing section. Even though he's late for no reason at all, he's a late piece of shit. Tonight we got an interview with the therapist, Nate the therapist. He is up here to talk about whatever we ask him. So let's get this shit started.
Who wants to take lead? Nikki, you want to take lead?
I will. So, I want a little background before it gets juicy. Like, how long have you been doing this? So I know.
I've been doing therapy for almost 10 years.
Oh, great. So my first question is, you know, because of the type of work that you do, sometimes you're not able to leave that at work when it's time to go home. Has there ever been a situation where you had a client and you just could not let go what they were going through, and maybe it put a little stress on you, or maybe you worried about them, or it became too much? Has that ever happened to you?
So, yes and no. For a good 99% of the time, I don't take work home. Um, in my head, as far as being a therapist, it's good to have quiet. Like, example, and this may get off topic, but and I'm going to come back. But essentially, um, with doing therapy and having COVID happen, there were a lot of people who didn't have resources and help and all of these types of things. So therapy had a big influx. So long story short, clients have all types of problems. They will always have problems, including us because we're humans. However, once I log off at 6 o'clock, depending upon the day, I need quiet. I can't afford to take clients' problems home with me. Otherwise, I won't get rest. I won't recoup for tomorrow to be fresh for the next client. There have been times where I've worried about clients. However, I do recognize that their emergencies are not my emergency. So I create boundaries of self care for myself.
I like that answer. Can we just have like a little background information on you? Like just like a short, sweet little biography, real quick.
Sure. Okay. So I have an undergrad degree in psychology from UDC. I previously attended South Carolina State University. Shout out SCSU. After graduating from UDC, I started my master's program at Argus University in Virginia, and then I transferred and ended up getting my master's from oh wow, what's my school name? The school name is Catholic University in DC. So I got my master's from Catholic University. Outside of that, I've had a slew of internships ranging throughout the years.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I
Does
know you
anybody
I know you
take
spoke
the
a little.
floor?
Yeah, I heard you talk a little bit about boundaries, setting boundaries with your clients earlier.
Mhm.
Um so when I was working in the field, I, I didn't want to leave my clients hanging, so I
Mhm.
set a boundary as something like you could get one call or for a certain amount of time after
Mhm.
hours. Do you have any rules like that?
So, yes and no. So, all of my clients have my phone number. However, it's not my personal phone number, it's a Google Voice phone number. So, when they call it, it still rings my phone. However, you'd be surprised that most people don't actually abuse the privilege. If anything, I'll get a text message that I can respond to really quickly if they need something telling me to check my email or things like that. But for the most part, there is no one um, interrupting like my personal time outside of their session because they do understand how important I am to them. I'm equally as important to my other clients. So all of my clients have been respectful.
Okay. So no needy, clingy, attached clients that feel that you are the, savior to all their problems and they must have access to you when they're going through a time of need or crisis.
So yes, however, it's very important to establish those boundaries from the beginning. In addition, even with that, I teach a lot of my clients self-sufficiency because I'm not going to always be here. in addition, and I don't know if you guys are going to get to this later, but also as far as termination, when it's time for a therapist to transition, because this is a high turnover field, a lot of clients think that if they regress, that you'll stay, and that's not the case at all. If anything, they're doing themselves a disservice by trying to regress because they fear abandonment and change for the next clinician that they will meet.
Are you pay for service or are you going through insurance? I know a lot of times that has a lot to do with it because insurance will only cover like what, three sessions or something like that.
So both. So for the most part, I'm primarily through insurance. However, there are clients whose insurance don't necessarily agree. So those clients pay out of pocket.
Cool. Go ahead and ask some of your questions.
I was sending out the link to people.
Okay.
That's why I wasn't
Awesome.
talking, but I do
Okay.
got some questions. Let me get to them real fast. I don't want to kill the conversation, but do you catch yourself like when you're outside of your office giving unwanted therapy sessions?
Yes.
Like you just talking to people in your family or something?
So yes, but you'd be surprised how people think of therapists as wealth of knowledge or libraries of knowledge. People don't like to be talked to that way. People don't like to be made to feel like they are your clients when they are not. And I became a therapist because this is who I am. Even outside of me having this job, I was this. So with that being said, yes, long story short, I try to keep it brief. In addition to that, when people ask me what I do, I've had to come up with a lie because when you tell people you're a therapist, the first thing they want to do is tell you all their problems. I don't get paid to work for free. So, with that being said, I've come up with a bunch of different career options that people won't ask me further or that they won't drag me down with their problems when I'm not actually at work.
I had a follow up. More of a statement, not a question to that. Um, so have you ever found, even after you told somebody that, right, you try to set those parameters that they keep going, have you ever had to refer somebody to your own service? Like, hey, you seem like, you could benefit from counseling. Here's my number. Or, or is that too direct or is that rude?
So, no, it's not direct, nor is it rude. The thing with that is, as a clinician, you can't have dual relationships with people. So essentially, what that means is if I know you
Right.
from around the way, even though you're talking to me because you feel comfortable and confiding in me, I can't be your therapist because you know me personally. So I can refer them to other people or I can give them websites that they can go to. But for me to be, for me, I'm reading the comments. I'm sorry. For me to,
That's right.
for me to, I just lost my train of thought. But yes, so I don't have dual relationships with people.
Okay. Let me get to my real questions because I've just been doing follow-up questions. So my first question is, why is there a stigma around therapy in the Black community? That's kind of a, generic question that everybody asks, but why do you think that is?
That's a really good question.
I think
Thank
there's a stigma with therapy in the Black community. I think it starts with things like slavery, Jim Crow, all of the trauma that Black people or brown people, Black and brown people have been through. We have this code of silence that we teach our people. We don't talk about what goes on inside of our house, outside of our home. So there's a code of silence, which means suffer in silence. So therefore, when people say, I'm going to go see a therapist, one, you're labeled as crazy, and that doesn't mean that you're crazy at all, but also that people have a fear of disclosing business that even people know is not right. Because even if you knew that it was correct, you would not have a problem with somebody spreading that information.
Okay.
Okay. I have a question.
Okay.
Yes, I've been
What
through
do you
therapy.
say
My
to an
bad, Combo. Go ahead.
what do you say to an individual who would say they're afraid to go into therapy because they don't want to be judged by the therapist and they don't want to experience that level of vulnerability?
So essentially, I advocate for clients to have consultations. So essentially, a consultation is what happens before you have therapy. A consultation is essentially a conversation with a clinician, a therapist, a counselor, whomever, where essentially you get a feel for that therapist. You can talk briefly about whatever it is that you're going through, and the therapist can talk to you about whatever they think may or may not work, etc. In this way, you're not obligated to continue on with sessions, and that way you also get a feel for the clinician to see whether or not you want to work with them. It's it's essentially like there's no tape, if that makes any sense. Like you don't have to continuously see them, and you can have consultations with people until you feel as though that you found the right fit. As far as people not wanting to be vulnerable, you can't fix a problem that you want to address. So as long as you continue to talk to other people about the problem and not talk to somebody that can help you with the problem will continue to persist.
Okay.
Uh,
Have you ever consulted someone? I'm sorry if I'm cutting you off, sir. Just have you ever consulted someone who? Have you ever consulted someone in the process of finding a therapist? Like, have you ever had someone come to you and say, "Hey, I'm dealing with one. I'm not liking this one. What should I do, or how should I do this?"
So yes, it's very similar to what I just mentioned as far as so one, transitioning therapy is very difficult. It's essentially like a breakup. And people really don't want to break up, even though they know that they should. They know that it would be better for them. However, people have abandonment issues. So it's very difficult to go from therapist to therapist to therapist because essentially what's happening is you're opening up over and over and over again, being vulnerable with people. And people don't like to do that, which is why in many cases people stay in relationships with their therapist, even though the situation may no longer work for them. So when a person is talking about transitioning therapists, one, you want to find out why, but also it's important that they do it at their own rate, not because somebody is forcing them, but they have to do it for them. And which is once again why I definitely encourage consultations.
So when you say transitioning therapists, you mean like becoming transsexuals, or
No,
I'm confused.
definitely
Oh,
not transsexual. What I'm talking about is about going from one therapist, ending a relationship with one therapist, and beginning another therapeutic relationship with another.
oh, okay. I didn't know that was trans. I thought trans meant something else.
Transitional means a lot of things, Combo.
yeah, transitioning to transition. But Hollywood, did you say you had a question?
Are there?
Could somebody
I,
read
I,
this
I
question
did
on the
have
screen?
one.
Nikki?
I did want to say I did therapy for like 6 months, and I felt like it helped. Um, but
You
my
got it.
question is, what made you get into being a therapist?
You
So
got an echo too, Hollywood.
I've always wanted to be a therapist my entire life. How like little kids always say, I want to be a doctor, a lawyer, a fireman. I've never wanted to be any of those things. I've always wanted to be a therapist. So it was my mission to become it. The type of person that I am, if I say it, I'm going to do it. So here I am. There's a question. Should one of us read it and I can answer it?
Nikki, can you read the question?
I can.
All right.
Nate, what do you recommend for people receiving inpatient care and aren't able to have the consultation opportunity to fill out their therapist? How would you encourage that patient to try to?
So, oh wait. Try to get what
Try to get what they need from the therapist for help.
So essentially, so essentially, when a person when a person is an inpatient, in many cases they don't have the opportunity to choose a therapist. It's important for clients to click with their therapist, i.e., have a relationship that's both enjoyable for both parties. Because if a client does not click with the therapist, a client may be resistant to treatment, thus, i.e., not following the therapist's recommendations to help whatever the client's problem is. Now, as far as choosing a therapist, if you are an inpatient, essentially you can talk to whomever as a therapist supervisor if you feel as though that the therapist is unable to help you, if they don't have the skills and tools necessary to help you. Because essentially, what a lot of people don't realize, and I tell this to my clients all the time, we work for you. You don't work for us. So in the event that we are not a good fit for one another, it's a therapist's job to do no harm. So by staying in a relationship that is not mutually beneficial or supportive, it's doing the client harm. So essentially, the client or the clinician can talk to the clinician supervisor about transferring care to another clinician.
It sounds like you've used that to get out of some client situations that you didn't care for.
So
Is that what happened?
That's not what happened.
Okay, on file, that's not what happened. Okay.
I have a
so is that?
question. Oh,
Oh, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
I was just going to ask: is that why when I came to you doing my search for therapy, you told me I couldn't pick my therapist because she had a big booty?
That's nowhere near what I said.
Get off of the show. Go ahead, Nikki.
So you're
I
saying
actually
pick
had
the
a
big booty
serious
therapist?
question, and you want to talk about ass.
Come on now,
Hey,
combo.
kid,
Let's
in the
combo.
therapy session,
Let's get serious, man.
Let's get serious. Stop joshing.
in a therapy session, can one of your clients smoke a blunt while they getting therapy,
Are
like
you
this
hating
guy
on
up
me,
here is
brother?
doing?
So
I'm in California. And he's doing virtual sessions, so I'm sure Californians are smoking through his session, easing their anxiety. Thank you.
I
so
was smoking through
can
my
they
therapy,
can
through my
they
therapy
technically
session.
yes? Should they probably technically no? Because in a therapy session, you want your client to be focused. In addition, you want the therapist to be focused, and the therapist may be blindsided by you smoking a blunt in their therapy session.
That's why consultation is good, because I'm gonna have a consultation. I'm gonna smoke a big fatty in there, make sure you can handle it, and then I'm gonna
What
see
if
if you can be my
porn?
therapist.
What if porn makes me comfortable? Can I watch that during the session?
Yeah, we're going
Absolutely.
to time out combo for a second.
Yeah,
Go
we're gonna
ahead,
we're gonna
because
put
Man,
him on the
please,
I
curb,
man.
actually
Like,
have a serious
program
question,
manager.
and y'all are fucking around.
yeah.
I can't believe the program manager getting
Y'all,
kicked out. This shit is crazy.
who is y'all?
DLB
Not
said, Nate,
you.
what is your take on how another one came through and fucked me up? How the difference in race and cultures between the patients and therapists can impact the effectiveness of therapy?
That's actually a really good question. I think that's important to
Somebody got a background.
I think that's important to address because that actually plays a major impact. Because certain races or demographics may be able to identify more. Example, as a Black man, a lot of my clients choose me specifically because I am Black. I will better understand a plight better than a white person, a Hispanic person, an Asian person, etc. on certain things. So, with that being said, it's very important for clients to be able to relate and have shared experiences with their service providers. There have been countless studies about where, specifically because of race, African Americans have been mistreated, i.e., thus impacting a lot of people for generations, their belief systems with the medical field and mental health field. So it's important that people feel comfortable with their clinician, i.e., people that may look like them.
And historically we're under represented in a therapy field, in the mental health field as Black males. So that was a big thing when I was trying to get licensed, was like, man, we need you, you're needed everywhere, you're going to be in high demand, you can ask for a higher salary. So Nikki, you want to read the questions?
Okay, so after I read these questions, do I get to ask my question? I just got
I'm
30
sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
seconds.
Well, you should talk to
Okay,
She's
so
not the
Coop, because
narrator.
Coop is
Not
the
the
one putting the
narrator.
ones up on the screen. Coop
Oh,
got the narrative.
my
Y'all
bad.
want her
Ask
to
your
read?
question. Did not put the text up there.
okay, so as a therapist, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a therapist? And when you answer that, I'm going to ask you another question.
So, no, I don't have a therapist. However, my best friend is a therapist. So, a lot of our conversations are like therapy.
Okay. So has there ever been a time where you've been like, where you felt like it was a strong need for you to have an actual therapist, though, even though your best friend is a therapist and you guys have those conversations? Do you feel like there's ever been a time where you were like, okay, now I know I'm a therapist, but I need to seek therapy for myself too? Or are you just so well versed in therapy that you know how to handle your own issues without needing any outside help?
So it's a mixture of both. I'm very well versed in therapy. However, every week I do have a supervisor that's also a therapist. So every week we have either group supervision or individual supervision, which is sort of like another therapy session with somebody who's more experienced than myself for when I have difficult days or hard times processing certain things.
Okay.
Comments. Let's
I
go to the
like that
comments.
answer.
Wh-
You didn't know. Go
Did
back.
we
You
do?
missed the first one.
Okay.
You missed that one.
Did we do this one?
No, we
No,
didn't.
you missed Father of
Okay.
Kings.
All right. So, oh, wait. Okay. Okay.
That's this nigga.
What do I tell people who think that therapy is a money grab and they really don't care about you? So I think that can be with any profession in general. However, a person can feel the authenticity when you're speaking with them, and you can tell whether or not they care about you. I think that for my clients personally, I'm invested in their lives. Even though they only see me for an hour per week, I'm a very big part of their lives because I genuinely invest in them. I care about their well being, I ask about their family. They are more than just a number to me. And I think that if you have a great clinician, that it will be the same.
You're not gonna read the rest of that comment there.
Man,
It's
read this
nice and
nigga
messy.
question. Let me see.
It's nice and messy.
What do cousin Ryan Bell? She's watching, but these are man, get out of here. So we'll do. Hey, cool. You want to do host question, then comments, and host question, then comment?
So, well, really quickly, there was a question that we didn't answer. It was about Terrence. The worst part of being a therapist, I think that it can be exhausting. Taking on other people's problems back to back to back to back. So, like, example, in between sessions, like, let's just say I have a free hour, I can either do my notes or go to sleep. Most likely, I'm going to sleep in order to recharge, to be fresh for my next client. I think that's the worst part of being a therapist, and also doing notes. Like, I feel like your session is enough for you to have to do notes afterwards can be a bit exhausting, but has to get done.
It's also a thankless job, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, Nikki, you want to read?
Also, along with the differences, what about having severely different socioeconomic backgrounds? How do you gain trust and comfort from your patients if your socioeconomic background is way different than your patients?
So, with that, in this particular instance, I don't think socioeconomic differences play a role. It can sometimes, however, it's not the main thing. You aren't there necessarily to worry about money and finances and where people are financially. You're there to treat the person as a person, despite whether they are homeless and sleeping on the bench or if they're a billionaire in Trump Tower. Their financial status has nothing to do with the level of treatment or the impact of care that they receive.
Okay. Let's see. So, why is talking about feelings associated with not being manly?
So talking about feelings, and this is ridiculous. It has to do with vulnerability, and men are supposed to be strong and not vulnerable. However, having feelings is a human thing. So with that being said, it's it's important to recognize that that feelings are a human thing, and that everybody has feelings. By suppressing your feelings, the only damage you're doing is to yourself.
Okay. Um. Nikki, please. I'm sorry. Well, Nate, what's been your most rewarding experience or memory since becoming a therapist?
Seeing the growth in my clients, especially it happens for the most part, excuse me, when you are transitioning, like going to a different agency or leaving the company, etc. It's sort of like a recap, and they you see from where they were to where they are now, and that huge difference is working with them. And they also tell you. And since leaving a couple of my jobs, clients have told me that I've made such a great impact in their life, and that's what's rewarding because ultimately therapy isn't about me. Therapy is about my clients getting what they need, and I'm happy to be an agent of change in that process in their life.
Mm, okay.
So I have a quick question. Through your time, as long as you've been doing this, have you seen a pattern of certain ways people from different cultures or different cultural backgrounds defend themselves or their defense in certain incidents when it comes to therapy? Like someone that comes from a urban, rough area, do they defend themselves or show themselves up differently to someone that comes from a higher or upper middle class family?
So I think you're saying a bunch of different things, but and you can correct me if I'm wrong, the way that I answer this question, I think that when you say a lot of people, I guess, defend themselves, I think that in many cases, people defend themselves because this is all they know. Example, if you have a person from an urban neighborhood and they are rough or tough on the exterior, is because they've had to be. This is survival of what has helped them to survive this complete time. So when they come into therapy and they are a bit reserved or aggressive because I'm telling them that a lot of their behaviors are maladaptive, they may take it as a personal attack because it's what has worked for them. Is that what you meant, or did you mean something different?
Correct, correct.
Okay. So
I
yes.
got a quick question. Um, Let me see. Hold on, wait. I gotta remember it. My fault. Oh, are mother and father like issues in the house? Do that contribute to a lot of therapy being caused in the Black community?
Absolutely. So our parents are often our first teachers. They teach us about love. They teach us about right and wrong. They teach us, in many cases, they give us our worldview, and also in many cases, they are our internal voice. So when you have people who grow up in a dysfunctional household and have issues with their parents, it can manifest in a bunch of different ways because their base, which was supposed to be a secure base, was not a secure base, and it can evolve into problems with relationships, problems with trust, a myriad of problems just solely because of an unsecure base as far as parental relationships.
And I'm gonna read this one because I'm gonna try to summarize what he's asking. Coop and friends, forgive me. This is from Steph the P. He's in the building. Coop and friends, forgive me. I'm just checking in. Maybe you've already answered this, but what kind of therapist are you? And then he goes on to ask you your theoretical orientation.
Okay, so I'm a general practitioner therapist. I don't have a specialty as of yet. And oh wait, okay. And with that being said, as far as theoretical orientations, depending upon the client, I am versed in those different facets to help clients in whichever way.
What is just a quick follow up question on that? What is your base though? I know you may practice several different ones, but
Okay.
what would you say what would be your base?
All
CBT?
right. So primarily CBT. I
Okay.
also think that psychodynamic is important. So I would say start with those two types.
Okay. All right. All right. As a man, how do you go about defeating the stigma of not being emotionally available? How do you break that?
Okay. So in many cases it's stigma, but also in many cases it's true that a lot of men are not emotionally available. In many cases, especially in the Black community, men are taught to not cry. Men are taught to be tough, or boys are taught to be tough and to not show emotion. So by the time they're growing up, that's been reinforced over and over and over again. So by the time it comes time to you to be in a relationship, in many cases, a lot of men are not emotionally available. How do you break that? You break that by one, recognizing the problem itself, that you aren't emotionally available. Two, feeling comfortable and developing a trust relationship with whomever you feel as though that you can confide in. Because once you are able to do that, hopefully it's a therapist, but if not, once you are able to do that, you will recognize one, all of the things that you've been holding in, but secondly, more so the maladaptive behaviors and how being emotionally unavailable has negatively impacted you. So long story short, communicate.
So what if you're emotionally unavailable, like due to hurt, and maybe like the person that hurt you, brother is a counselor or a therapist, and you feel comfortable talking to them, but you don't want to expose too much of yourself. How does that person go about that?
So it's about finding somebody that you are comfortable with. Your brother, mother, father, sister, brother, whomever could be a therapist, a counselor, or whomever. However, in many cases, people don't open up to them because they don't want to feel judged by somebody that's in their family. They may feel as though that things may get spread amongst the community. So as long as you are finding a safe space, i.e., a therapist or a counselor that is unbiased, for you to try to break down those walls and defenses, to break down those maladaptive behaviors. It's about communication and feeling safe and being able to communicate. A lot of people are scared to go to therapy. Oh, I'm sorry. No. A lot of people are scared to go to therapy because they will feel judged. And a therapist isn't here to judge you. A therapist is here to help you. Therapists don't sit and judge what you've been doing. We have so many people that we have to worry about. We're not specifically scolding you for your life. We're happy that you're here. It's easier in many cases for a lot of people to give up or consider committing suicide. But we're happy that you're here to talk and navigate through the difficulty of life. We're not here to judge you.
Okay. Do you see kids also, or
No.
just adults?
So I only see adults. However, I have had a period in my career where I did see children. I don't prefer to see children because in many cases, children don't have much accountability. Like a child can go set something on fire. I'm like, why'd you do that? Like, I don't know. They literally don't know. Whereas with adults, there's a level of accountability that you should be able to work with.
Have you had anyone, like any adults that act like children?
Yes, I have. That was a difficult case to navigate. However, she didn't act like a 5-year-old. She acted about 12 mentally. So that's a lot of progress from somebody that would act 5.
I'm so happy you said she, 'cause I thought you was talking about me. God, that feels
Shit, I thought he was too.
With this job, have you ever got into it with your partner because they felt like you were bringing the job home?
No, that's never happened.
I have a
Let's see.
question.
Go ahead.
So, because you are a Black therapist,
Mhm.
it sucks to say this because this is really how we are as a people. But if I'm seeking therapy, I'm off the rip. I want a Black therapist, right?
Mhm.
And then because I'm a woman, I want a female Black therapist, right?
Mhm.
Because I'm going to feel like I'm going to relate to her more than a male therapist.
Mhm.
So, what is your ratio of female and male clients? Like, do you have a lot of female clients because you're a male, or do you see a lot more males?
It's about half and half, actually. And the races vary. And actually, Black people are one of my least population of clients.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's because
However,
I
the
had
Black people that I do have specifically choose me because I am Black.
Mm. So, going off of that, because you do have women clients, right?
Mhm.
And I'm about to get a little bit serious because I really want to know this, right?
Okay.
So you have some women who have certain traumas that men have never experienced and that men have never been through. So say you have a rape victim or something of that sort, somebody who doesn't know how to navigate the traumatic experience that they've been through.
Mhm.
How do you help them navigate that as someone who might not have experienced something as drastic as that person has?
Okay, so one I want to address. A lot of men have been sexually assaulted and raped. It's just extremely underreported. Um, but as far as answering your question directly, the first thing I do is apologize on behalf of men. In many cases, rape and sexual assault is about power and control. So it's about, for many women, it's about redeveloping that relationship with a man. Even though I am not the perpetrator or the person who committed the assault, in many cases, being as though that I am a man, it can be reminiscent. So a lot of women come guarded because the trauma has happened to them. So one is about establishing a rapport. Once you establish the rapport and you are able to have this person to feel comfortable with disclosing said traumas, the abuse, etc., you can begin to unbuild that wall. Once the client has begun to be vulnerable with you, you are able to rebuild that wall to send her back out here, not holding on to the trauma, even though the trauma will always be a part of her life.
That was a good answer.
Thank you.
Okay.
I
So,
don't.
okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Cool.
I don't know if we read this question already or not,
No, we
but
didn't.
oh, we did. Okay, cool.
No. We did
Oh,
not. We did not.
oh, is there anything a person should do or complete before they seek therapy?
What I tell a lot of clients to do is to actually write out what they want out of therapy. Is to write down their goals, what they're hoping to expect, what they're seeking from a therapist, what type of therapist they want, etc. Once you have an idea of what you are looking for as far as seeking therapy, to have a consultation. Once you have that consultation, you'll be able to see where you can go with said therapist. The reason why I say that is because a person can have two consultations with two different therapists and come out with two different roadmaps of how they will be helped once they actually start therapy.
Okay, we got Mex in the building, and I feel like his questions are going to be along the line of combos. So I'm just giving you a disclaimer before you ask.
Okay.
But before Max answers his question, I want to get a serious question out. I'm on my serious time for real quick. Being from the inner city, right? Growing up where you grew up,
Mm-hmm.
do you ever look back and maybe seen situations or heard of situations where a therapist could have came in and maybe changed the outcome of things? And two-part question. And if you have, how do you think the community should go about implanting these type of treatments or resources?
So the first answer to your question is yes. In many cases, it's saddening to actually go back to the hood to see the state of people. You see people strung out on drugs. In many cases, they're strung out on drugs because they had no coping mechanism outside of drugs, which is a quick fix. Um, and as far as what can the community do, in many cases, it's important that resources are known. Resources are there in many communities in DC. However, a lot of people don't go to them, or a lot of people are ashamed to go to them due to stigma. I think that if we destigmatize mental health, which that's a long, broad battle, I think that a lot of people will feel more comfortable in going to receive the resources that they need rather than worried about the community's expectation of them or the rumors about them once they go to a clinic.
So
Or
I'm sorry, I was going to say, do you have an example of a situation that you can think of that maybe therapy could have played a major part in with things that happen in community, in your community?
okay, so Yes, and this isn't a specific example. This is more so a general example. I feel as though that in many Black urban communities, not just my community where I came from, but just in many urban communities in general, a lot of people have PTSD and don't know it. A lot of people see killings every day. A lot of people see people that strung out every day. A lot of people see violence every day. That's not normal. That's not the way that people should function in society. To have to step over needles, and it's essentially like living in a war-torn environment. So yes, therapy in many cases is needed in all of these communities to help reprogram us as people. So therefore, we're not always in survival mode.
And that kind of plays off a question that was in our questions, but we didn't ask. Is hood PTSD a real thing? And I think that's kind of what that question was alluding to was,
Mhm.
are people in these inner city neighborhoods, are they dealing with post-traumatic stress just from living in these environments? And I think you kind of addressed that. So
Absolutely.
I got a question though. Without names,
Mhm.
can you give us the craziest scenario that you've encountered as a therapist, whether it be a story you've heard or something that you've gone through yourself?
Yes. Um, One of the craziest things I've heard. This is from a police officer. Um, he went to a lady's house because her neighbors were complaining of a smell. And um, so he knocked on the door. She answered the door, and inside the house was smoking. He could smell where the stench was coming from. So she allowed him in, and he checked the oven, and the lady had baked the baby.
Baked a baby.
Yes, on 400 degrees.
Okay, and you were treating. Well, I can't. Well, we don't need to know. Who you're treating. But the point is that wow. Okay. Any additional
That's
stories?
crazy.
Yeah. Any other things you want to tell us? That you may have run into or heard about in your dealings. What I mean?
um,
Like, yeah.
so
Is the lady cute?
What do you say?
Go on timeout.
Man, he
Hey,
needs
let's
time.
bring
That
let's
nigga
bring
need,
the
he needs to
Okay,
be
autistic
on
stay out of
spectrum.
time
punishment.
out.
Put him on
Let's bring
MP
punishment.
asked
Kyle
the
up, man.
question in
Oh,
in the comments down there. Do you think therapy can help a man be more emotionally available, or help a man better express himself?
yes.
Good
We
question.
sort of talked about this earlier, but it's important for many men to be able to feel comfortable, to be emotionally vulnerable with people. Once they learn that there's no harm in being emotionally available, more men will be able to better do so. However, um, a lot of men are against that because you have examples like when Tyrese. I don't know what was going on in Tyrese's life, but he was crying on the internet, and people started
you
calling
about
him
to start crying
Tyrese.
again. You ain't heard about the new thing? I'm sorry. You gonna keep
I
going.
didn't, but long story short, when men are in public spaces or in
What is
public
that? Whose sound is
platforms,
that? I'm sorry. All right, go ahead. Yeah.
when men are in public spaces and or public platforms, um, and they are being more vulnerable, and then people are making fun and making memes and all of that. Imagine how the man that's sitting beside you, it can be your friend, your brother, your father, your uncle, whomever, are looking at how people receive a man that's being vulnerable, and this is what puts men back on defense mode and saying that I can't cry or be vulnerable in front of people.
Mm, mm,
We can't. Not supposed to. We're men.
See,
Okay, hold on. We gonna get to you in 2 seconds. I
We're
got a
strong,
couple more
masculine men.
questions. Look, we gonna get to Max in 2 seconds. All right, I got a couple more questions. Have you ever been attracted to a client? I
okay,
mean, you
so,
gotta get the law to
so,
admit what
so
the truth
I'll
is.
say this.
You
Help
acted
her,
on
help her, help her.
it.
I'll say this. I have had attractive clients. Am I attracted to them?
Okay.
No. There's a
Okay.
difference.
Okay. That makes sense. And have you ever texted a client something on accident? You may have received a text message and then you were thinking about texting a friend back, or you just sent them something on accident.
No, because the app that I have on my phone, the Google Voice app, it's
Oh,
a
okay.
different
It's
platform.
separate.
Like it's separate than my regular phone. So no, I haven't.
Have you ever had
And
to discontinue service with
So
a
you can't
client
send a
because they
client an
were?
accidental dick pic, nothing like that.
no, he said no. Keep
Have you
going.
That
Keep
ever
was
going,
my
Coop.
had
question,
to
Coop.
stop service with a client because they were like trying to make a pass at you?
So yes, I have. And there's this thing called the superhero complex. And in many cases, a lot of people that are receiving help from a person, they tend to develop romantic feelings for them because somehow they misconstrue the lines of help and affection. So, in many cases, you do have clients that are attracted to their service providers or providing them help. And I have had to discontinue services with the client because of that.
Mm, okay. Has a client ever approached you sexually?
Yes, that's the
Mm,
client that I had to end services with.
okay. Okay.
Is there
Uh,
any
well, you breaking up, you in the matrix, and I got one more question, and then we're gonna open it up to to everybody. Um, do you believe you can be racist towards your own race, and what do you think that derives from?
Racist, no. Racism involves power. You can be prejudiced against your own race.
Oh man.
That comes from stereotypes.
Okay. If you want to expand on that, don't worry about Mex. We're about to open it up to Mex, and you're gonna get an earful. But if you want to expand on that, you can.
So essentially, racism involves the power to stop a service, give a service, or anything like that. Whereas prejudice is more so my prejudging, if that makes any sense.
Mm,
My thoughts
yeah.
against
Right.
whichever group of people because of what I've seen on TV or Uncle Ruckus,
Oh my
or
bad.
anything like that.
Okay. So now we're gonna go. I mean, Coop, is it cool if we open it up, or what's going on?
Cooper
Coop?
sleep.
No, he ain't.
I
He
am
got his
not
ass
I'll
back
go
sleeping.
on.
ahead and say bring Mex up. I'm the
Mex
program
is
No,
here.
Mex
manager.
is up.
Mex, let your
Yeah,
questions out. If
yeah, Mex,
anybody
go
on the
ahead.
panel want to ask questions, if anybody in the comments
Unleash
want
the
to get
American.
What's
we
up,
only got the
Nikki?
therapist for a few more minutes, so let's get it.
Yeah, if y'all in the comments, go ahead, drop your questions in the comments, and we'll read them live. And then let's go ahead. Let's get to it.
Don't forget to hit the Cash App.
Yeah, hit the Cash App. Support this.
Don't forget, support Shop Demon Time Exotics. Hit the cash
Yeah.
apps and all that shit. Oh, DJ had a question. Hold on, let me go back. Oh,
Oh,
DJ, your question never popped up. It just said, salute everybody, love the show. I don't see
oh
no
yeah.
question for you.
And I wasn't running the comments, so it's Coop fault.
Retype that, DJ. We'll make sure we get your question out there.
All right, Mex,
Go
go ahead.
ahead,
Let's
Mex.
jump into it. Mex, how you feel? What's going on, man?
Hey,
What you
what's the
feel
love for
strongly about?
everybody? I barely I was on Fortnite with the kid right now, so I didn't hear the whole conversation. But I mean, in the 10 minutes I've been on here, are some different points of views. I mean, as far as men being vulnerable and shit, I think it's important for us to show vulnerability, but that's not our role in this world, man. Like
What's not our role?
to be soft and shit like that, man. Like that's really that up to the
So a
women.
man can't be a man and still have an emotional side and then be in tune with his sensual side, his whatever you
He's
what would we
less of a
call
man
it?
if he
Yeah.
is.
For you personally,
So
I
you
said
can't.
what? What?
like here's the thing. Like, okay, if your kids are gonna grow up
Why
thinking
can't
that
a man
daddy the
cry though?
superhero and gonna be the world, what you look like crying all the time about your troubles to other people?
Nah, because if you teach your son that he can't cry and he should always be tough, he gonna end up being somewhere, can't humble himself and go home instead of shooting the nigga in the head. Sometimes you gotta be vulnerable. Sometimes you gotta make the right
Hey,
decision.
I know
You can't
killers that cry
always
when
be
they
tough
do it. That don't mean nothing.
and be a killer. That's
Yeah,
why.
but I bet you them killers be having somebody to talk to too at the same time. They
Nah,
talk to
that's what
Yeah,
we
somebody,
but
here
it's
for.
but
still the
That's what
something.
your homies are there for. You feel me? Like yeah,
But you're not
men
supposed to
should be
be
vulnerable
vulnerable
toward
in the
other men, but
video.
not the people you're leading, your women and your children.
but just like Nate was
Oh,
saying,
okay.
you may not be all the way comfortable with talking to your closest person next to you. You know what I'm saying? Your mom, your
Then
pops,
why are they the
I'm
closest
sorry.
person next to you if you don't feel
I'm
comfortable
sorry.
talking to?
We got on Mick's head so quick, we forgot that we were supposed to be letting the guest answer.
Yeah, let the guest answer. Let the guest
But
answer.
what was the question?
There
There
was
wasn't
a
a
question.
question.
It wasn't a question. I was just saying like I differ from the point of view that
him
men should
making
be
statements
over here crying on
or
couches and shit about their problems to strangers.
how do
So
you
are
Like,
feel
you
about that,
saying
Nate?
that you should talk to your homies instead of seeking therapy because therapy is soft?
yeah, I would say
That's what he's saying.
your homies are
This
probably your
nigga
first line
needs
of who to
therapy.
talk
That's
to.
Why are you on the panel with the therapist if you don't agree with therapy?
He
Oh,
needs
I'm
a
sorry. I
fucking
didn't know this was
hug.
I didn't know this was the echo chamber. My bad.
I'm just asking a
He needs
question.
a hug. He needs a fucking hug. Max
I
needs
mean,
a hug.
The Mexican is here. He is in the big Mex
he
is
is an
here.
American first
Got
off.
the
I'm
big
willing.
Mex
I'm
serious in this
American.
motherfucker.
I'm
I'm willing
American.
So
to
is
pay.
here.
I'm willing to pay for one therapy section with the American and Mr. Nate. Also, while we have it,
You gonna make
if
Nate
you
lose his
go
goddamn
to
license.
podcast
Give
about
him
nothing
next therapy.
Man.
Instagram, he's holding a fundraiser for mental health. You can donate funds to mental health to help mental health. All the proceeds will be sent directly to that foundation.
Yeah, donate to my
Also, don't
Cash App
forget
and
in
I'll
this
send it
segment
over.
on this network, we have 3 shows. We have the boxing section, who's the first show that comes on anything and the best information about sports and entertainment. Also, you have the
Oh my
podcast about
god,
nothing
combo.
about that has the
Fuck,
best
man.
show.
Come on, don't do that. Let him do a shutout, man.
That
All right.
has the best show that you can get with anything and everything. The show that you watch and anything and everything in between. And if you're feeling a little, dark on the demon time, always don't forget you got Demon Time Exotics, the Messy Show, and also the one and only panel on YouTube that has a real nigga panel where you're gonna get the information that you truly need, even if you don't want to hear.
Hey, that's what's up, man. Hey,
Right.
man, in the comments, I see y'all watching. Shoot out y'all questions, man. Turn this motherfucker up. I know y'all got some questions, some shit y'all want to know, some things I want to
I
ask,
think I
Nate.
seen Des pop up there with a question, if I ain't mistaken.
Hey, what's your IG? Do you Mr. Nate the therapist? What's your IG? Can you shout out your IG anywhere people can find you, see you, find a way to contact you?
So yeah, my IG is Meeting of the Minds Therapy. And
Okay.
I'm still learning how to use it, but it's up there. DM me, shout me out, etc. I'm here for you.
That's what's
All
up.
right. Now, before everyone, we get a little too messy into this, I do want to say thank you for your time. And if you feel like you got to go, just let us know. Give us a sign on the back channel. We can get you out of here. We really appreciate your time. I really appreciate everyone for coming on the panel and asking the type of question they need to ask. Is there anything that
It seems like we're
never
not
got
getting.
to ask?
DJ, your question not
Say
popping
again?
up.
Yeah.
We got
keep-
is a question that you have not been asked that
DJ,
you always
text
wanted to
me
answer.
your
Let
question.
me ask him a question. I didn't get to ask no questions and shit.
Oh, okay, you're back.
Oh, your ass was late, nigga.
Well, I ain't at work and they got me working today for some odd ass reason. I gotta work. I don't know what the fuck they got going on. I don't know who told them I felt like I was working today, but I
Nigga,
came
get your
to
questions
get a
out and
text.
come on.
Y'all get on here, man.
They say you want to take this, put your uniform on.
Hey, listen, man, I didn't come to work. I just came to work. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Hey, so question for you. What is it like being a therapist in the black community and having black family members? Like, how hard is it to kind of navigate at a family dinner when you got like some people that don't believe in therapy, some people do believe in it. How do you kind of navigate through that?
So similar to a question I asked earlier, in that a lot of people don't like when you treat them like you are their clients. Well, they are my clients. So in the personal world, I'm me. I don't wear my therapy hat. Of course, when people have questions, I try my best to listen to answer. However, I don't live my life like a therapy session. In many cases, it throws off the dynamic in the relationship between you and whomever, you and your mother, you and your father, you and your cousin, your sister, whomever, because whenever they see you, they can't see you as their brother anymore. Now they see you as solely their therapist, and they only want to talk to you about problems, when there are more to life than just problems. There are good times, there are joyous times, there is a whole big world other than just having somebody to talk to about problems, if that makes any sense.
And I think I heard Nikki say she had something else to say.
No, I actually asked all my questions, and any question that I didn't ask was already answered by somebody else's question.
Okay. Well, I got some extra questions if we got extra time.
So
Um,
Dr. Nate.
Yes.
So I work in the healthcare system, right? As
Mm-hmm.
far as like with 5150s and things like that. What are some of the things that you could tell them to do to not get the trip? You know what I mean? Not to go to for the episode. What do you think? What can prevent the episodes other than medicine?
staying
So
on their medicine. You know what I'm saying?
personally, I'm not a big fan of medicine. Personally,
Okay.
medicine in many cases only treats the outward symptomology that people see. It doesn't actually treat the root cause.
Mm,
So, example,
okay.
I used to work in psych wards in different hospitals throughout DC, and in many cases, you have people in there that are zombies. It's not stopping the behavior; it's stopping them as a person. In many cases, you have to talk to people to find out what is the underlying issue. In many cases, it takes a lot of patience to develop that rapport, and a lot of people don't have that patience. A lot of people don't take the time to actually get to know a client to find out what's underneath all of these outward behaviors that they have. In many cases, that's very similar to children and their parents getting whooped. In many cases, a lot of parents whoop their children because they don't have the patience to talk to them out of whatever behavior. That's a whole nother story. But long story short, to answer your question, um, patience and time.
Okay. I'm getting some feedback from somebody. Who is that with the feedback? Because yeah, you gotta go. Okay. Because you got any questions for the therapist, bro?
Real
Shit,
so
man, I'm just now getting in here trying to figure out what's going on, man. You know
Man,
what I'm saying?
we got Nate. Turn all your music down, but we got Nate, man, the therapist on the panel, man. He answering any questions you may have about therapy or just anything. You know what I mean? Just questions you may have for a therapist or any misunderstandings about therapy you may have. Just it's open to everything. We open it up to the public right now.
Okay, shit. Let me get on my mental, man. I get back with you in 2.3.
Okay.
Let me ask
real
you.
quick, so I can make room for someone on the panel, because I'm gonna drop down. I'm sorry to cut you off. I just want to make room for whoever else want to come up. I want to give you your flowers and personally say thank you, Nate.
Thank you.
When I was attempting to commit suicide, you talked to me, you walked me through it last year. I appreciate you, everything that you've been there. I know the hard work you put in, and I do appreciate you answering those phone calls and taking those weird phone calls in the middle of the night, days and night, and helping me understand that I may be suffering from PTSD or prior traumas that I never addressed. So I do want to say thank you for that and give me and giving me the opportunity to actually hear my voice. So I appreciate you, man, and I'm gonna drop down. Y'all have a good night.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
boy, I got
Last
tear out, boy. My eyes start to sweat.
So as someone who's
Hey,
coming to terms with the fact that I need therapy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I was so against it for so long, and now that I'm like an adult that's out here really adulting and shit, and my problems are surfacing and beating my ass when I thought, oh no, that doesn't bother me, but it does.
Mm-hmm.
So as a person who is like just now coming to terms with the fact that I do need a therapist,
Mm-hmm.
what would be like some of the first steps? Because I know that I want a female therapist. I know I want a Black therapist, but what credentials do I need to look for? What type of concentrations? I'm not sure if that's what you would call them in your field. But just as a woman with a lot of trauma that has happened in the past, how do I go about finding the right therapist for me?
Okay, so there are two websites that I would plug. One is ZocDoc.com and the other is PsychologyToday.com. I more so use PsychologyToday.com. Psychology Today, there are different boxes that you can check that will narrow down the criteria of the person that you're looking for. So you can check female and Black, and you put in your zip code, and it'll show you all of the Black female therapists that are in your area. And once you read their profiles, it'll tell you the types of therapy that they do. And then once you read them, whichever profiles you feel comfortable with, jot down their numbers, give them a call to have a consultation to see whether or not you all are a good fit for one another.
And I also want to follow up on that and say that a lot of times we pick our professionals based on that, based on race, based on gender.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
I've had some of the best feedback and therapy and just guidance from a female Caucasian therapist that I had as a supervisor. And I never expected that to happen. I always picked the black male. But then she's one of the people that helped me realize that I may be picking black males more for confirmation of my thoughts than constructive criticism. Somebody got feedback. I think that's you, Miss Milan. Milan, yeah, that's you, Miss Milan. Yeah. So that made me realize that sometimes even doing a consultation like he was talking about earlier with somebody opposite what you would think you would need or want, just try it out. Because like I said, I got some of the best feedback, some of the best therapy, the best thought process from that Caucasian woman. So I just wanted to add that.
Why she gotta be that Caucasian woman?
Because I don't like to call them white. I don't like to call them, even though I call myself black, I don't like to give them the pleasure of calling them white. So they are Caucasian or Anglo-Saxon. You know,
I got a
from the
question
mountains
though.
of
You know.
Caucasus. Go ahead.
I like to call them
So
pilgrims. I call them pilgrims.
I call them
DJ had
dirts.
a question he's been trying to get on too.
Go
Oh,
ahead,
go
DJ.
ahead, Sam.
No. Who you talking about, Coop?
DJ.
DJ got a question. Big
Yeah,
Cuz
look,
got a
DJ,
question.
he popped up and he been trying to get it off since the comment section. Go ahead, DJ. You got it. DJ?
Oh yeah, can y'all hear me? Y'all hear me?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Is the therapist person still up here? They still here?
I'm here.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So, earlier when everybody was talking about therapy, and I'm a believer in therapy, even though it didn't help me. And I don't think it helped my siblings at all. But I just got a question, and I'm really not trying to be an asshole. I'm really not. So excuse me. It's just this is how it comes out sometimes, right? So what would you tell a kid, right, who saw his mother kill his abusive father in front of him, and as a result of that, not only had to testify at the trial, but was then excommunicated from the father's side of the family? What would you tell that person?
There are a lot of factors that go into all of that. So it's not necessarily as simple as just answering questions about circumstances, because there would have been a lot that could have transpired before him witnessing one parent kill the other, in addition to him being excommunicated from his family. So it's not just as simple as far as answering those two questions specifically.
Fair enough.
Saying it's a lot of variables that go into it, and you just can't just jump into it just off the scenario, kind of.
Yes.
Okay. Man, Big Cuz, I know you had some questions.
Yeah, I got a question. So look, I got commitment issues, and I'm bad on hoes. You know what I'm saying? Like, I go hard.
Messy Show is in the building. We get messy
You
on
feel
Messy
me?
Show.
So like, how do I try to do better toward these hoes? You know what I'm saying? I don't mean to call them hoes. Nobody on the line. You feel me? No disrespect to nobody, but that's just how I talk. You feel me? So how do I try to get myself in a better position to where I don't treat them so bad? You feel me? Not that I treat them bad. I just, I use them.
Okay. So one, diction is very important. You have to be very careful of the words that you use, because the words that you use signify meaning. When you think of a hoe, you might not think of a respectable woman. So if you don't think of a respectable woman, you may feel as though that you can treat this woman any particular type of way.
Is he in here preaching?
Huh?
Is he? I said, are you in here preaching? Go ahead. I'll back him up. Go ahead. Go ahead. You in here preaching?
Well, I think of hoes as women. Sorry.
So,
Okay.
okay. But that's even worse. Okay. So, if that's the case, do you think of all women as hoes?
Mm, mm. Why is he up here? He was prepared for this shit. Hold on now.
You asking me or you asking Big Cuz?
You. He answered on
I'm
the
asking
follow
you
up.
because
Oh, Big
He's speaking to
Cuz?
Big Cuz.
no. Wait, wait.
Because
Who
that
was
was Hollywood that just
Oh,
asked you
I'm
what he
sorry.
asked you.
I'm
So he's
sorry.
talking to you,
Oh,
Hollywood. Yeah.
Yes. Whoever
Can you
thinks
ask
of
that
women as
question again? But I'm just saying, I don't. You know, I mean, it's a title, but I don't look at no woman different. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, a woman is a woman to me. You know what I'm saying? Even though whatever profession she takes, you know what I'm saying? She may be a good looking bitch. She may be a good looking woman. She may be a good looking hoe. But I don't disgrade no woman though like that. Not saying it, you know,
How
because
you
I
gonna say
roll
you
with
don't
hoes.
disgrade no woman, but say she might
But
be
I'm
a good
saying,
looking bitch?
but I'm just saying though. But I mean, it's just how I use words though. But
That's
I
the
don't.
same thing I said, nigga.
the words that you
Yeah.
use.
But
Man, we got
anyways,
people trying to get up
you
here,
on
man.
bullshit. But so what do I do as far as trying to treat them a little better? You know what I'm saying, or not be so hard on them. You know what I mean? Or stop running through so many of them. Let me say that.
Is that really what you want? I'm sorry, I gotta ask. Is that really what you want? Do
It
you want
is,
to
but it
stop treating
ain't.
them bad?
I don't. Okay, hold on. This sound bad because I don't treat them bad. I just don't treat them as good as they want to be treated.
Okay. So
So
I
go
guess
ahead.
a question for you, but I guess this might not be for the room. But let me ask you this: what's your relationship with your mom?
Oh, great. You know what I'm saying? I love my mom. You know what I'm saying? That's my rock. That's the only one that I care about.
Why is that?
That's because that's my mama. That's the only one that I'm gonna hold down. That's the only one that's gonna hold me down at the end of the day.
Okay. Is it fair to say that a man could have thought of your mom the same way that you thought of women and treated your mom the same way that you treat women?
Yeah, it's very possible. I mean, my daddy ain't shit, so
Okay. Do you get anything out of mimicking him?
nah, not really, cause he a sucker. I mean, not what I mean. I ain't gonna say it like that. He just ain't never really been shit when it come to women. You know what I mean? But he be on some different shit than I be on. I don't treat him bad. I just don't stay with him. I got commitment issues. I be ready to smash and dash. You know what I mean? I be in and
Okay.
out.
Who broke your heart?
Nobody really.
You stuttering.
It
That means
was
you
yeah.
haven't broken
You
your heart
didn't
that you
sound
hate
like you
for real.
sounded like
I
there
mean, I
was
had to think
something that
about
was
it.
on
I
it.
swear that was gonna be my
But
question.
you
Who hurt
did
you, man?
say
I had to think about it. You know what I'm saying? I just, why have 1 million when you can have 10 million?
Sounds like inadequacy to me.
It
You don't
sounds like
think that
mama's
you're enough.
boy.
I don't know what it is. I know it's fun.
Fun is dangerous.
Sounds like you looking for your mama and your woman. That's what it sounds like, to be honest. But I
but ain't
digress.
we all though? But hold
What the
on, let
fuck?
me address that real quick. Ain't we all though? Don't we all want somebody that we respect? Because we all look at our mothers. Well, I can't say all, but I would say in most, we look at our mother as if we want somebody that will emulate somebody like the woman that raised us, the one we look up to, the one we admire. You know what I mean? So isn't that what we all do? Everybody always say, dang, she kind of reminds me of your mom. Or I actually chose the person that I chose to have a child with because she reminded me of not my mom, but my aunt, somebody that I felt was genuine, soft-spoken, a true lady. So don't we look for the things that we find qualities in other people, like the women around us?
Potentially, yes. However, that's if we have good women around us. Not everybody is that fortunate.
Hey, hold
Okay, so what
on.
if I
Miss Milan, y'all commenting in the wrong comment. Don't comment in the private section. Comment in the comments so we can all see it. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
so I mean, I got good women around me. Like, not that these women ain't good women, so they good women. You feel me? They do what they supposed to do. They on time. You can actually trust some of these bitches. I just don't be wanting to stay with them. I don't know why. You feel me? I
It's
just
because you're not good
Hey,
enough for them.
Nikki, can you ask this question
Hey,
right here?
have you ever had a conversation with your pops about his relationships with women?
Yeah, I mean, he's still on the same type of shit today as he was 40 years ago.
I mean, you might be the same nigga though, because the person we despise is who we end up being.
Ding, ding, ding.
But I don't despise him. You know what I'm saying? I fuck with Pops. You know what I'm saying? He cool people. He just
You
ain't
just
shit in
fuck with him a lot.
relationships. He just ain't good in relationships. He got 8 kids by 3 different women.
Can I say something real quick?
The person you despise is the person you end up being most times.
Yeah, I don't despise Pops though. I mean, it's a little different. You know what I'm saying? Pops cool. He just wasn't the best Pops. I mean, but I know how this shit go.
Okay, Nate.
Yes.
I got something that's messy, man. But we're getting it in the back channel. We're getting it on the comments. They want to know your sexual orientation.
I'm married. No, it's like
They want to know. They want to know. There's the elephant in the room they want you to address, and I'm gonna go ahead and ask you with respect. So this is my respectful way of asking you what a lot of people want to know.
Man, can I say something real quick though, Nate? Real quick before you answer.
Okay.
Why the fuck does it matter, bro? That's number
That's
one.
exactly what
I was thinking the same thing.
You can just say you respectfully decline to answer. That's fine.
So that's the part that I was going to get to. That's the part that I was going to get to, Money.
I was just gonna say, did I answer with respect? Was I disrespectful?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
I don't want to be disrespectful. I was just
that
really
wasn't
the elephant in the room.
Though.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Just the comments are the people that do want to know.
I'm just saying in general, bro. Like we have to get away from just the bullshit, bro. Because a good person is a good person, whether they sexual preference is that or this, don't matter, bro. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got my cape on, yeah, man, because it don't fucking matter what his preference is, bro. As long as he's a good person, as long as he was able to get combo, not to jump off the ledge, that's enough for me. You know what I'm saying? Him being on the channel, giving us his insight, that's enough for me. I don't give a damn who he laying down with. That don't concern me. What concerns me is he a great person? Did he take his time out to spend with us on this here podcast? That's what matters. We get too caught up in the shit that don't matter. That shit don't matter. But go ahead. I'm my fault for stepping on your toes, man. I just,
You said it very well. I don't think
they in the comments said Cal got his cape on.
Yeah, look, I thought you go.
Listen, but see, niggas are immature, bro. They're not comfortable with themselves. Listen, let me tell you something. This is the same nigga that said he can't cry. All right, I'm not worried about a nigga that's scared to cry in front of a bro.
We got niggas trying to hop up here.
They can hop on here, whatever. I'm just saying it don't fucking matter.
No,
in my opinion.
All I was trying to say was we got people every 2 seconds we got shit that people trying to hop on. So if everybody on the not even everybody, if the unoriginal panel members don't have questions, can y'all drop down and let other people up that are trying to get up and ask questions?
I've been trying to speak for like 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you, Jay. We waiting on you to speak then. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Because I had a few things I wanted to touch on. First, you have said something that I'm actually like learning about right now. You have said, don't we want, and I think you was talking to Big Cuz. You was like, don't we want a woman that emulates the things that we see in our parents or our caregivers? I'm learning that that's actually a toxic trait of humans in relationships. That we actually, because I'm taking a class about Black men and women relationships and on a social psychology level. And pretty much I'm learning that that's not a good thing. Like, and that's a lot of how our relationships come together. It's like, oh, we want a man who reminds us of our daddy if we had a good dad. We want when men want a woman who will take care of them like their mama did. You know what I'm saying? And there's also these relationships that are like there's a parent partner and a child partner where it's like a woman may be with a man because he could do for her, or a man might be with a woman because she can do for him or take care of him. What I'm learning is that relationships last longer when people come into it with the intention to give care and receive care on a reciprocal level, like not looking for it to mirror a person who cared for them when they were young.
Okay, and that's according to McGraw-Hill or whoever published that, right, or whoever they were referencing, that individual, right? So that isn't just like a unanimous decision that is fact. That was just the opinion of that one
Nah, but I
research.
think it's,
No,
I
no,
think it's a little weird.
that's actual, like, based off actual research. That's not
Right,
like
right. But what I'm saying is like there's plenty of research that shows different things. It's just what do you subscribe to? You get
Yeah,
what I'm trying to
and
say?
that's the thing. A lot of our
Right.
culture, a lot of people from our background, we tend to subscribe to wanting somebody who looked after us. You know, it's a security thing. Like, we want a man who take care of us like how we grew up being taken care of by our father. Men want a woman that's gonna cook and clean like they mama did. Like, you know what I'm saying? But that doesn't necessarily mean, one, you deserve that treatment, or two, that that's the right standards to have in a relationship.
Okay. Max, pop
I
up here.
don't,
We ain't scary. We
I don't really,
Pop up here then, because
I don't
we
see
gotta
how
get ready to
motherfucker
leave
want.
in a
If he
minute.
comes up
But
here,
we can continue this conversation.
How
And
a
then
motherfucker want somebody that's like their mama though? Like I don't really want no female to remind me of my mama, other than maybe cooking. You know what I'm saying? Like anything other than that, like that's weird to be thinking about your bird in any kind of situation when you're in a relationship.
And then the other thing I was gonna say to you, because it's how you was talking about how you don't really intentionally emulate your father's behavior, but the cool part about humans and how we're wired, like, it's not just what we see, it's also genetics. So it's like you may not intentionally be behaving and conducting yourself like him, but there may be a lot of things that you putting out there in the world that is similar to the way your dad carried himself, just based on the fact that that is your father biologically. So
And-
that is something to think about. And you were talking about how it's fun, but I don't think it's fun for you anymore because you're seeking advice on how to learn how to be different.
All right. I don't want to cut nobody off. I ain't trying to cut off your conversation, but do we have any specific questions for Nate, man?
He
You
has
gotta
time
get
for
out of
one
here.
last question. He has time for
All
one
right,
last question. He
so
has
do
to
we
get
have
back to
any
his study.
questions from anybody for Nate specifically? But we can get back to the conversation after that. But before he gets up out of here, do we got any questions specifically for Nate the therapist?
All right. Now, with that being quiet and that being said, Nate the therapist, can you set out your IG one more time? Any social media network that anyone can reach out to you at? What is it?
So it's Instagram, IG, Meeting of the Minds Therapy. It's on the screen right here.
All right. Well, thank you
All
so much for
right.
coming on today. We are so grateful for you. And salute.
Thank you all for having me. Y'all have a good night.
We appreciate you, man.
All
Thanks
right,
for coming
hey,
on.
if y'all want to continue this conversation, I'm in the live and start it back because I want to keep this one short. So, yeah.
This is headed to the editors now.